you still think about them. Maybe not all day the way you used to, but they show up. In a song, in a random memory while you're trying to fall asleep. In that split second when your phone lights up and your heart does something embarrassing before your brain catches up. You know it's over. You know you need to move on. But knowing and actually feeling done are two completely different things. Today, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to emotionally detach from someone. Not the generic, just keep busy advice, but what actually works, and why your brain makes this so much harder than it needs to be. Emotional detachment gets misunderstood. A lot of people think it means you stop caring, or you become cold, or you somehow erase what you felt. That's not what it is. Real detachment means you get your emotional energy back. You stop investing in someone who is no longer, or maybe never was, investing in you. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen just because you decide it should. But there's a process. And once you understand what's actually keeping you attached, you can start making real progress. Here's what nobody tells you about why letting go is so hard. Part 1. Your brain treats them like a habit, not a choice. Every time you thought about them, texted them, checked their profile, replayed a memory, your brain reinforced a neural pathway, a groove. The more you did it, the deeper that groove got. And now, even when you consciously don't want to think about them, your brain defaults there automatically, like muscle memory. This is why willpower alone doesn't work. You can't just decide to stop thinking about someone. The pathway is already worn in. What you can do is start building a new one, deliberately, repeatedly, until the old one starts to fade from disuse. Every time you redirect your attention, you're not just distracting yourself, you're actively rewiring. That's the first thing holding you back. But the second one is what keeps most people completely stuck for months, even years. Part 2. You're still feeding the attachment without realizing it, checking their social media, rereading old messages, asking mutual friends how they're doing, driving past places you used to go together. Every single one of these feels innocent in the moment, and every single one of them resets your detachment, progress back to zero. Here's why. Your attachment isn't just to them as a person. It's to the information about them. Your brain is still running a background program asking, where are they? What are they doing? Are they okay? Do they miss me? And every time you feed that program, even just a quick look at their profile, you're telling your brain this person is still relevant, still important, still worth monitoring. Detachment requires information withdrawal, not forever, but for long enough that your brain stops treating them as a priority. Now, here's the part most people aren't expecting, because it has nothing to do with the other person at all. Part 3. You're grieving more than just them. Part of why letting go feels so heavy is that you're not just losing one person. You're losing the version of your life you imagined with them. The plans, inside jokes that have nowhere to go now. The person you were around them. That grief is real, and it deserves to be treated as grief, not just as weakness or being too sensitive. A lot of people try to rush past this part. They think if they just stay busy enough, they won't have to feel it. But unfelt grief doesn't disappear. It just waits, and it tends to show up later, attached to something unrelated, hitting harder than it would have if you just let yourself feel it when it was actually happening. Letting yourself mourn the loss fully, honestly, is not the opposite of moving on. It's the first real step toward it. That brings us to the fourth thing. And this is the one that quietly keeps people attached long after they think they've moved on. Part 4. You haven't replaced what they gave you. People stay emotionally attached, not just because of who someone was, but because of what that person provided. A sense of being known, feeling chosen, having someone to share things with, feeling secure. When the person leaves, those needs don't leave with them. They're still there, still unmet. And so your mind keeps drifting back to the one person who was meeting them, because at least that felt familiar. This is why rebounds often don't work. You're trying to fill a specific void with a random substitute. What actually works is identifying what you genuinely lost and finding real, sustainable ways to meet those needs through friendships, through your relationship with yourself, through community, through purpose. When your needs are being met elsewhere, the pull back to that person weakens naturally. Not because you forced it, because you're no longer running on empty. Part 5. The story you're telling yourself is keeping you in it. What if they change? What if I never feel this way about anyone else? What if I'm making a mistake? These stories feel like wisdom, like you're just being careful, being thoughtful. But most of the time, they're just fear in a reasonable costume. The brain is very good at generating reasons to stay attached to something familiar, even when that thing is hurting you. Part of detaching emotionally is getting honest about the story you're running. Not to dismiss your feelings, but to examine them. Is this actually unfinished business? Or is this just your brain avoiding the discomfort of starting over? Most of the time, if you sit with that question honestly, you already know the answer. What to actually do. Here's what the process actually looks like, practically. First, cut the information feed. No profile checks, no rereading messages, no asking about them through other people. This isn't about being dramatic. It's about stopping the loop that keeps your brain treating them as current and relevant. Second, feel the grief deliberately. Set time aside to actually feel it. Journal, cry, sit with it, then close it and re-engage with your life. This sounds counterintuitive, but it's far more effective than suppressing it and having it bleed into everything. Third, identify the void and fill it intentionally. What did they give you that you're still missing? Start building that in your life through other sources. This is the step most people skip, and it's the most important one. Fourth, redirect every time, not just sometimes. Every time your mind goes there, you redirect. Not with force, not with shame, just a calm, consistent redirect. Over time, this literally changes the default pathway in your brain. Letting go of someone you genuinely loved or genuinely wanted is one of the harder things a person goes through, and I think it deserves to be treated that way. Not minimized, not rushed, not solved with a list of distractions. But I also want you to hear this clearly. Emotional detachment is not about becoming someone who doesn't feel things deeply. It's about getting your heart back, reclaiming the emotional energy you've been pouring into someone who is no longer your present, and redirecting it toward a life that actually is. The attachment will loosen, not because you forced it, but because you stopped feeding it and started feeding yourself instead. That's where the real healing begins, and it begins the moment you decide your peace matters more than your attachment to what's already gone.